Hi, this is Mark Purton, and welcome to the Engadget Podcast for the week of January 16th. This week, the Engadget Podcast is brought to you by Verizon's Powerful Answers, because the world's biggest challenges deserve even bigger solutions. I'm here with Ben Gilbert, Joseph Olpe, and Terrence O'Brien, and we are back from CES.
A long, painful week in the desert. I don't know. I'm still recovering. I'm like,
very dehydrated
yeah,
still. Yeah.
My hands are all cracked and bloody. Thankfully, people can't see that on camera.
Yeah, no, you're pretty disgusting to sit next to
Yeah,
right now.
it's fine.
So I'm throwing up in my mouth.
But I mean, we've got like a week separated from it now, right? We're a little distanced. Has anybody's opinions changed on anything? Are we second guessing Best of CES awards?
I still hate Las Vegas. I still think we made very good decisions about Best of CES.
Okay.
Smart ones, he should have been best in show. I think we're obviously on board.
We weren't able to test it out personally.
Right. I think the failing there was that it wasn't adult-sized.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I said specifically if they made an adult-sized one, I would wear it for the remainder of the week. I would have done all of my stage interviews in a onesie. It would have been amazing.
You really enjoy public humiliation.
I do. It's actually one of my finer points, I think. I think it makes me...
It's endearing.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, Terrence put on, what was it, a special helmet that tracked concussion?
A Reebok helmet?
Impacts from Reebok.
Right.
And he invited not only editors on staff, but the general public on Twitter.
And on the floor of CES.
And on the floor of CES to punch him in the face.
Yep.
And the hardest punch thrown was...
Good old Matt Smith.
Matthew Smith.
How many people actually punched you in total?
Oh, man, I don't even know.
I wasn't there for it because I chickened out.
I think we got like 10. I mean, there were a couple of complete strangers who punched me.
Sacrificing a lot for your art.
Yeah, and then I had to go play basketball and embarrass myself with that because why not? So I should have my own show.
It
I
should
really
just be
should.
you doing humiliating things.
I think it would do really well. I'm just really good at embarrassing
It should
myself.
be called "Come Laugh at Me."
So I think we're all pretty CES'd out at this point.
Yeah.
What did you want to talk about? Like the winter stuff? Do we want to kind of do a little wrap up here?
Well, I figure we'd take a quick look back, see, if there were any trends we thought we missed, if there was anything that people were second guessing, stuff that you might not have gotten a chance to see while you were there, going back over our coverage.
Did they live up to it?
Yeah.
Wearables are still dumb.
Yes, they are.
Everything
Remain
is
dumb.
Everything is curved. Everything is curved.
Curved TVs, obviously a gimmick.
Curved phones.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep, curved phones.
Probably obviously a gimmick.
Yeah.
I think I'm fair in saying that.
No, it's so great. If you're like not standing or sitting directly in the middle and you're like a little bit off to the left or the right, you're looking completely at the curved edge of the screen.
It's perfect.
So that's a clear benefit.
Perfect.
I just can't
For
wait until they take it to its
$1,000s,
logical extreme and you can have TV belts. That's what I'm waiting for.
What does that mean?
A belt that is a TV.
A wearable
Yeah.
curve.
Yeah, a
So
wearable
you're always
curve.
looking down at
Yeah.
your crotch?
Combine all
Well, no,
silly
you can
things.
send messages to people.
That's right. No,
with
it
your
has to be
belt.
internet
You're
connected.
walking around.
The internet of everything curved wearable TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
man.
well, the design.
We've just wrapped up CES, haven't we?
Now that you said the
Seriously?
Internet of Things,
The Internet of
this
Blord.
podcast is over. It's obviously
I
the
don't have a
end.
bottle of whiskey with me today.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Can
We
we
don't-
just prick you and have whatever comes out? I'm pretty sure you bleed whiskey.
I'm pretty sure I bleed some form of alcohol.
Or at least there's a high alcohol percentage to your blood.
Yeah. So CES is over, though.
It is.
Yeah.
Forever.
Very, very, very thankful about that.
Yeah.
But there's tons of other stuff. There's no rest for the wicked, unfortunately.
So
No.
what's the weirdest thing for me about CES, and this is the last thing we'll say about CES,
Okay.
I hope, is that as we went in for the big things that I just made fun of, wearables and curved TVs, are pretty much like things that most people I know will not actually impact their lives at all whatsoever. And the big things for me, like I am the gaming nerd dude, so
Yes.
the gaming stuff there is all stuff that is like, you will actually see this stuff this year and maybe be able to buy it. Like
But
that's
who
crazy
is
to
going
me.
to buy it? That's sort of the big question there is you can buy it, but who's going to buy it?
So we're talking
like
about
Oculus.
We're
Right?
talking about
Oculus
Oculus
and
VR
Steam machines.
and Valve
Yeah.
Steam machines,
Yeah,
right?
those are the two big question marks.
Right.
Is Oculus definitely available this year?
They keep saying that.
Wow.
It's not.
Okay.
There's no release date, so I have a Steam machine in my house right now, so that is a
And you're
lot
having-
more
and
certain
you're
for
having
me.
the
coming to
best
your house
time
later,
setting
by the
that
way.
up, aren't you?
sorry?
Been so
I'm coming to your
painless.
house later to play that, by the
You
way.
can come to my house later. I won't be there, but you can definitely.
It's
just
all the
hang out
better,
there.
really. I'm
That'd
gonna
be
hang out
great.
with your three-legged dog and your Steam machine. And
That
it's gonna
sounds
be
like a great
lovely.
time, actually.
It
Yeah,
does.
that's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, the one I have has like Windows 8 on it and stuff, and there's no Steam controller, so it's not really like. But it is right. It's still the form factor and what they're making. So
Wait, so is it? It has Windows 8, meaning like it's not running Steam OS?
No,
Right.
right.
straight up. Yeah. I mean, SteamOS is still in beta.
really a steam machine.
And there's no Steam controller.
So it's not a Steam machine.
Right, it looks like a Steam machine,
It's
and it is the
steaming.
final model of,
Yeah.
or it's the final hardware of what
But
will
without
be
the
in
OS
one.
and the controller.
Yeah.
Right, and the OS and the controller are what make it a Steam machine. Like
Right.
that, it's Valve's definition of a Steam machine.
Or
So
at
it
least
comes with
mostly
SteamOS and that.
final, right? It's
The
not
hardware?
complete. The hardware is not
Right, I mean
completely
it's
final.
yeah. I mean it to say that the parts inside are very close to what you will buy when you buy the actual thing.
Okay.
That is called a Steam machine. I think the graphics card is like a little bit not as good, and yeah, but.
And the lighting is currently powered by
The lighting is
a
currently
Raspberry
powered by
Pi,
a Raspberry Pi, yes,
which is super
not
interesting, but not going to happen in the production
No.
model.
No.
I assume.
That's an interesting kludge there.
Yeah, that's like super prototypey. But yeah, I don't know. That's super weird to me that like going to the show that I honestly expect to be playing more of a support role for most of the staff because games don't go to CES. Like E3 exists for that. Literally, like it was spun off of CES. So yeah, that's crazy to me. Like we go and we cover all this stuff, and it's like even the TVs are like, well, it's a $20,000 curved television. Nobody I know is going to own that. Period. 0 people. Right? A corporation will own that. And the same thing goes for like a lot of these wearables. Like you'll probably have one.
Yeah.
You'll wear one for like a week or two because you think it looks cool. I
Just
don't
like
know your
smartwatches
stance on
too.
wearables
Yeah,
actually.
I got rid of the
I've
smartwatch,
resisted
too.
so far.
I've never worn one, so I don't know. I don't need my sleep tracked and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know how well.
I
mean, I
will
don't
get
really-
a smartwatch at some point. I've been waiting for the right one.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
I gave up on the smartwatch 2 yesterday. I'm gonna
Yeah,
dedicate
you were
tonight.
You were in like full on rage mode over your smartwatch yesterday.
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
about ready to break it.
I
Well,
was
every time
very
somebody
upset.
text messaged you, you got a phone call. Your watch would vibrate, your phone would vibrate, and you
Oh,
get a message on your computer.
Oh yeah, we were
Like,
in, we
this
were
is
in a
ridiculous.
briefing yesterday, Terrence and I, and even though I silenced my phone, my wrist kept vibrating, and it was driving me nuts because it breaks your
Can we
concentration.
say that on the air?
What?
Or wrist vibrating? I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so.
But you know, beyond that, suddenly this the smart extension for Gmail broke, the smart extension for Twitter broke, and nothing I could do. I wiped it a million times. I wiped the phone because I used it. I swapped to a. I can't say the word. I swapped. I wanted to say switched, and then I was saying swipped.
Yeah.
That's a new word. I came up with it. Swipping.
He swipped.
I was swipping. So I swipped to a different phone, and then it still didn't bridge the connection again. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in my toilet. It's waterproof. And wait a half an hour.
And just
then-
see what happens.
Yeah, then
Yeah.
take
Sort
it
of
out.
like when you get a phone wet and you put it in a bag of rice for 3
Right.
days. This is the polar opposite.
Right,
of. Okay.
exactly. I'm
Wet
teaching
it
it a
and see what
lesson. I'm
happens.
basically teaching it a lesson. I'm just trying to get a little moisture in there and maybe get a rash from my wearable. Well, because of the moisture buildup. Is that something that just happened?
Yeah,
this week?
apparently.
Right?
That's a thing that people were complaining about, both in our forums and on other sites. There was a big report on Consumerists.
Are you saying there's another reason for me not to put a stupid wearable on my
Well,
wrist?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
if you want to
yeah.
end up with a
Fantastic.
giant
Yeah.
sore on your wrist.
Yeah, I mean,
This is the
Fitbit had to apologize and offer refunds.
But you know,
So
I mean,
it's
couldn't their apology have been, "Hey, maybe you should take this off, you dirty person, and wash yourself"?
Well, here's the
Because
thing.
that was
It's
they're
not quite
admitting
that
real
simple.
issues.
It's two different things that are sort of leading to this problem. One is, yes, people who are wearing it all the time,
And never taking it off.
the fact that it's waterproof to its logical extreme, showering with it, and never removing it.
and that
yes,
moisture is building
the
up.
moisture
sure.
builds up. There can be bacterial growth, and it can just irritate you, and you end up with a rash or a sore.
And you're sloughing under
The
that
other
wet
thing,
skin.
though-
Sloughing. Everyone hates that word.
is
right?
that all of these things also include at least some amount of nickel. And
Yes.
there's a pretty
Yeah, the
significant
nickel
portion
is
of the
the biggest
population
issue.
that has a nickel allergy.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
Yeah.
the people who are buying these things, I guess that's not something you normally think of when you go out to buy a gadget is, do I have an allergy to this thing? But it is something you probably should be thinking about if you're going to be wearing it on your wrist all day. The fact that surgical, grade stainless steel contains nickel, the fact that the jawbone up cap is nickel plated. This is something that should probably, enter your head. It's listed pretty clearly on the site.
I would have never
But that's
thought
such
But
a-
it's
No,
not
no,
that
exactly.
you would
You wouldn't
think
think
so.
about it.
But
But
that's
something
now
like
failing on the
something
part
you
of the
something like
company.
Fitbit, it's essentially wrapped in rubber. The
Right.
nickel is basically the battery compartment, I believe. And if it rubs against your skin enough and you have the allergy, it's going to
Yeah.
hurt you, and you're going to get the rash.
I don't know necessarily that I fault the company so much. I think it's just something nobody's ever really had to think of before. It's not something that jewelry companies and watch companies put in big bold letters on their advertisements, like, hey, by the way, there is nickel in the clasp on this watch. Don't buy it if you have
Right, but
an
those are-
allergy.
Those are luxury items. These are supposed to be like.
So
Watches
I
are
think
luxury
the
item?
companies have been marketing them as something that you can wear all the time.
Right,
I mean,
that's what
Fitbit
right.
says you wear it to the gym, you wear it to sleep to monitor your sleep.
Right.
So in a way, they're encouraging that kind of
Right.
behavior, and
Yeah.
I think they've been fair in admitting that it is an issue.
I mean, just as a category, it's called wearables, right?
Yeah.
The concept is you'd never take it off, right? Like you don't ever. They don't. The point is you should never have to charge it, right? Charging should be an inconvenience. Right, so
it is.
Right, it is for a lot of these things. You know, when there's like a week charge, everybody gets very excited. Like, oh, this product is so great. For a week, I can wear it. You know, it should be a year. It should be like a full year. You get to wear these things. But I do partly fault the companies on that end, because if they're promoting this as something you should integrate into your lifestyle, and it's forming rashes because of certain metals used. You know, that is an oversight.
I think Fitbit has definitely learned from this experience.
Yeah.
They responded pretty quickly with an apology.
And pretty well.
Refunds.
I mean, they're issuing refunds or giving you a new device. You know,
They should give out Nike Fuel Bands.
well,
an
people were
apology.
complaining that the Nike Fuel Bands were giving them rashes too.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
really?
Yeah, basically,
Yeah, all of them. Right? Pretty much
the
everything.
Jawbone, the Fuel Band, and the Fitbit Force and Flex have all been linked to it at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of the smaller off-brand stuff is also, you just don't see it as much because
I mean,
those are the
Fitbit
big
has the
names.
biggest market share at this point and the most installed users, so it's people are going to notice the problem with Fitbit.
And I just find it weird though, because I mean, I helped you when you reviewed the Jawbone Up. We
Yes.
both had them, and I wanted to test it out in the shower, so I lived with it for a while, and I always felt, I don't know, a little bit gross and uncomfortable being in the shower with this product, right?
Yeah.
It just didn't. It's not natural to me to want to always keep these on, even with the smartwatch 2 or any other wearable I've had.
Yeah, no.
So,
You're being in the shower with something like hitting my arm,
Right.
Yeah.
on my wrist.
Right.
It's not even a question of it being electronic or anything.
Yeah,
Right.
and every time I've reviewed these things, what I end up doing is I wear it in the shower the first couple of days I
Just to
have it
test
just to
it.
test it out.
Yeah.
Sure, sure.
And then it comes off.
Yeah.
And that's when I shower, it comes off, just like my wedding ring. Like, it comes off because
Right.
you shouldn't be climbing in the
Yeah.
shower
right,
with these things.
like the rest of your clothes or things.
yeah,
Right.
I don't get in the shower
Yeah.
with my watch on because that would be stupid.
Right. It would be stupid.
Well,
a
but
shame.
people do. I mean, there
Yeah,
are plenty of
they do.
waterproof diving watches that people
Sure.
never take off.
Yeah.
And those people probably also have rashes.
They have
so-
the rashes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Jeez.
So we've identified, basically, it's divers,
Yeah.
right, Mark?
So was that you or Billy that spoke to a dermatologist and stuff?
That was a collaboration between me and Billy. Billy was the one who reached out to the dermatologist that he knew to get some quotes about what could be causing it and things like that. He did suggest though that usually the cause is a nickel allergy, but going through a lot of these forum postings and seeing like the photos of the locations of it, it does seem
Far away.
more often than not, this is actually just a thing of like water irritation and
Okay.
stuff like that, as opposed to being primarily a nickel allergy, unless Fitbit has nickel embedded in the rubber, which seems really weird.
Right.
Also awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wearables.
You're
Anyway.
done with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, wearables are dumb.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
No.
Um,
Well, people care, but
but the other big thing at CES was the Oculus Rift.
Yeah,
It won our
that's
best
the
in
thing.
show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
hope-
had trooped in like 15 people into that the last day of CES to go check it out. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
And hopefully it's coming out this year.
That's what they keep saying.
Hopefully people will be able to buy it.
Well, here's the deal. Right now, not right now, in like an hour or two on stage in Seattle at this developer event that Valve is hosting, Oculus Rift's head, Palmer Luckey, will be talking all about VR, and he'll probably be saying some news that I won't be able to report on because I'll
Yeah.
be doing something else.
Well, that's what I was
and
gonna
we'll
go
collect
is-
your tears in that cup,
Yeah.
and then I'll drink them.
So Valve is having this big event, and
Right.
Oculus Rift is going to be partnering with them to create games.
So they're like
that-
super sketchy about all of this. Every time we've asked them directly about it, they say like, "We're really good friends with Valve. Everything's really nice." And they've admitted that some of the stuff that they have on the Crystal Cove prototype, which is the one that they had at CES, like the newest Oculus Rift, that some of that stuff is like Valve solved something and they implemented that tech. So they've been doing VR research essentially and just R&D, nothing else at Valve for over a year. Mainly led by this guy Michael Abrash. We went and saw some of it last year with like their Team Fortress 2 stuff.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're definitely. It seems like an obvious thing to say that there's probably going to be a Steam machine that ships with an Oculus
VR,
headset.
right.
Like that seems like a foregone conclusion at this point, although nobody has confirmed that. It seems like a big no duh.
Wasn't there Steam VR? Isn't that now?
So yeah, that's the other side of the coin, is that Steam, the service that Valve runs, Steam, has implemented both a way to drill down and search games by VR support, and they've also added a version of their UI that wraps around. It's like a curved UI, basically. It's like their big picture mode, though, that's meant for televisions, but it's adapted specifically for VR, so you can navigate, buy games, open a game, whatever, all from within your headset, which is about 1 trillion times better than how it is right now. Where like I'm loading an application, and it takes over the whole screen, and it pushes out 2 images onto your eyes, but it's also showing up on your screen. It's just like a very bad experience, basically, for trying to use VR right now, whereas if it was implemented directly into Steam, it's a lot more streamlined. And yeah, so anyway, Valve is doing this developer thing like a week after CES, after they showed off their Steam machines to the public. They showed all their third-party ones there, and they're going to show their VR stuff in Seattle, but not to press. No press is there, only developers. So everything we have is based on tweets, which is the worst.
Yes.
Just to be completely clear,
it's the worst way to report anything ever.
It's horrible.
But they're not going to get into another hardware segment. They're just doing a partnership with Oculus. We're not going to see a Valve VR headset.
Nobody really knows.
Nobody really knows.
Yeah, it's totally unclear. And if anything, it seems like they would be working with Oculus, because like, why bother if Oculus is already so far along and they're already working together to an extent? That said, I know for a fact, like on the record, they have said to me, like they have prototypes internally that blow away what Oculus has done, but it's like $30,000. So it's like a version of the headset that's like,
consumer-facing.
no,
Right.
it's totally useless. So it's like they have stuff that is like what VR will be in 5 years right now for consumers, but it's so expensive that they couldn't sell it. So it's like they're researching for where they think gaming is going. So which is I am like that good, because I am totally pumped for gaming to go that way.
It's exciting, but I'm having a really hard time imagining, years down the line, I probably won't and shouldn't have children, but
You definitely should not.
But the people at
that's
this
something
table
that
will.
everybody at this table can agree that you should not
Mark has a
reproduce.
child. Mark, you have a son.
I have a
correct?
son, yeah.
He's
So
already reproduced. It's too late.
The scenario in my head that sort of frightens me is, say for example, your son is 12 and he's home alone, and he's like in the TV room with these goggles strapped to his head that are basically obscuring all of his main senses.
He's
that
probably
he
got
needs for
headphones on as
stranger
well.
danger.
Sure.
Well,
Does that not alarm you in any way? Like, I want to know how they're going to get past that
Well, I
hurdle.
mean, are you going to tell me that you never, like, when you were home alone as a teenager, put on headphones and listened to music in your bed and closed your eyes? I mean, it's...
No, I was a very paranoid child, so I wouldn't have done that if I was
yeah,
home alone.
I'm not particularly worried. I mean, you get immersed in an entertainment experience, and I think, there'll be some accidents, but I don't think it's going to be the kind of thing where there's serious danger.
I just
We're
think,
not gonna
I
see
just
an
think about
outbreak.
dads being alone and they have like newborn babies and they're like jamming inside Oculus, like, yeah, I'm
Well,
taking
yeah, that
down
might
the
happen.
plane,
That
and then
That
there's-
might happen.
That happens right
and then
now.
there's a baby
Yeah.
accident, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I do not
Baby
contest
accident.
the
A baby
acc-
accident?
Well, I could have said SIDS, but I don't want to do that again because Christopher said that on the podcast at CES.
Yes,
and
he
that
did.
was his. That was his. I'm not trying to take SIDS from Christopher, but I know it's an inevitability. Like, I don't contest that. I just.
There will be irresponsible VR behavior.
Yeah,
inevitably.
but I mean, there's irresponsible behavior around everything right now.
Yeah.
There are plenty of fathers out there who purposely ignore their crying child and pretend they're not there.
There are
They're
tales
just
of-
terrible people.
Yeah,
tales
I mean,
of-
but those. Here's the thing: is those are the same people who are going to probably immerse
Right.
themselves in the VR and just pretend away the fact that they have a child. It's not. I don't think you're going to have a bunch of otherwise really great parents suddenly become addicted to Oculus Rift
Right.
and forget their parental obligations.
What I'm
I
super
don't know.
interested in actually is the psychological impact this stuff has.
Yeah.
And it's something that I ask all of them about, and they're all like, we don't know yet. And it's like, there's a real impact when you put on that headset and then you take it off and you're like,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
jarring,
absolutely.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, it
It's
feels...
Yeah.
seriously disorienting.
Right, and can you imagine spending like, I don't know, 6 hours in one of those in like a hyper-realistic environment?
As a teenager,
That could really mess you up, you know? Like,
Well,
that
I mean-
could really change your perspective on some things.
To be fair, though, that's how we treat all new technological breakthroughs. Is what they go.
fear.
Yeah, they go. What's the psychological impact
Sure,
of this?
yeah,
and then
sure.
they go, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
They say that
Humans-
about comic books in the 50s.
they
Absolutely,
said it about the
absolutely, yeah.
internet. They said
Humans
it about,
are the best guinea pigs.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
They said it about the talkies.
They did say that about talkies.
Yes.
listen, I'm
And look
fully
where we are
willing.
now.
I know
Bedlam.
exactly.
You did turn out pretty well, considering.
Me? This guy?
Mm.
That's right.
Did he?
No,
No.
I was just
I
saying
don't
that to make
think
him
so.
feel good. I have to sit next to him.
But there's more from Steam.
There is. Yeah, what you mean, the Steam Machine stuff?
Does it
Yeah,
get
the Steam Machine
steamier?
stuff. They've completely changed the controller.
Yeah. Okay, that's news. That's fair.
Yeah, that's big news.
I don't know about. I don't want to say
It's not
completely
though.
changed, right?
No.
Yeah. So the weirdest thing about the controller still remains the dual haptic touchpads. Those are still there.
Yeah.
Those are still super weird. I don't know if
Yes.
those are going to work. They have removed in the middle, kind of like where the PS4's DualShock 4 touchpad is in the middle. They used to have. There was a screen.
Yes.
That was clickable and touchable.
Yes.
And had visuals on it, and that was supposed to be for like mitigating issues where you had a UI that had a bunch of stuff that you needed to see more than what they could show on the screen, like tiny little icons, for instance, on the bottom for something like World of Warcraft or whatever. It would help you with that stuff, but they've fixed that supposedly by they have a thing called ghosting, essentially, where it shows some visual approximation of what you're doing on the controller on the screen, so you can tell that way. So they've basically worked around you needing a touchpad on the.
Do you mean ghosting like the way the Vita does it when you're mapping remote play?
Yes, exactly. That's a good point. So yeah, it's the same kind of thing where it gives you some sort of an idea of what you're doing, so that to try to work around something that wasn't really meant for that hardware. So,
But doesn't that make it a slightly less special piece of hardware now? I mean, you still
probably
have
makes it way less expensive. I'll bet.
Yeah, well, that's
that
what I was
too.
going to say.
I mean, it
It's
still
not
has the
really-
two touchpads, but instead of having this touch screen, which was a really interesting and from the beginning sort of a questionable decision, now it just has buttons
Well,
like
it has
every other
D-pads.
game controller.
D-pads, right?
It's got,
essentially.
it's a D-pad and a 4-button setup. As far as I know, though, they're both like from the very poorly visualized render that was shown during their dev conference. There's two diamond-shaped like 4-button things. They both basically look like the same kind of 4 buttons you'd see on an Xbox 360 or Xbox or PlayStation.
It's basically impossible to tell them apart.
Right, but the D-pad doesn't look like a D-pad. Like I say that specifically because it looks like buttons.
Yeah.
Like it looks like 4 buttons where a D-pad would be instead of a D-pad. So
Is it
it's
a
not
dedicated
really the same.
D-pad, or is it still 4 independent buttons?
It looks like
Four
it looked
independent,
like
right?
4 independent buttons.
Yeah, but we don't know for
It's
sure.
hard to
don't
tell
know.
from that photo. It's like
Right,
really...
and Valve isn't saying anything yet. I promise I've emailed them about a dozen times. So
Have you emailed them yet since this podcast started?
not since this podcast started,
You
but
should do that
literally
right
right
now.
before the
You
podcast
should probably
started.
email them a baker's dozens amount of time.
You
Yeah.
with your
That's
13 jokes. I see
Hey!
it. So yeah, that's like the big change that they've made to it, and I don't think that anything else was announced. Bizarrely, actually, Alienware announced their Steam Machine for September, but
yeah.
I mean, no, but we don't know when Steam Machines are coming out or when Steam OS goes final. So like,
September.
who knows what that means?
They're
I
kind
don't
of just
know.
being hopeful. It's like we assume everything's going to be ready to go by that point.
I mean,
Everybody
do
else
we-
has said
do we
second
ever-
half 2014.
But do we
Yeah.
ever take any company's release dates as by as
I don't
like
take
by
anything
like, no,
companies
you
say,
can't trust.
yeah,
I mean,
as
look how many
anything.
times they push things. Like, oh, they need to string you along long enough to keep your interest. And
Sure,
then when you get so close to it, they're like, oh,
when they
it's
start
another
taking pre-orders.
Right,
then-
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And even then, still
That's
kind
true.
of
That can
questionable.
still-
Seen
yeah.
plenty of
So I
people.
mean this
Yeah.
to say though that like so there's certain computers that were revealed as Steam machines during CES. Like Digital Storm's Bolt 2 is a Steam machine. I'm making air quotes for anybody who's listening, and that is to say that it's like a PC.
Yeah.
It doesn't have Steam OS on it. It doesn't come with a Steam controller. It's a Steam machine in that when those things exist, it will have those.
When there is
But
a
right
controller
now,
and when
they're
there's an
selling.
operating
When there's an
system.
operating
Right.
system.
So, I mean, there is a
exactly.
reference design, so any manufacturer can theoretically make a Steam
Right.
machine at this
Well,
point.
the reference design is it has a GPU, a CPU, a battery, and a hard drive, right?
Oh,
like
I
it's
have,
not
I have one then.
exactly. I know, like
I have a
really,
Steam
is
machine.
literally like basically any gaming PC can be a Steam machine. So it's all super up in the air right now. It's
Do
like
they-
it just reminds me of Android, honestly. I
Yeah.
keep
Do they
comparing
have
it to
minimum
comparison.
requirements though? Is there like a baseline that
Nope.
you have to? That's just
The
open.
minimum requirements are it has a Steam controller and Steam OS.
So
period.
if I went out and bought a Steam controller and put Steam OS on like a flash drive, I could pop it in a Chromebook and technically it'd be a Steam
That is
machine.
correct. You could, honestly, you could stream games on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's the whole point,
should
right?
do that.
That's the idea.
I'm
is that
not
you can
doing
have
that. That sounds
something-
like the worst project
It
in
sounds
the world.
terrible.
And knowing you'll kill that Chromebook
Yeah.
just by walking next
But
to it.
I have a tendency to do that sort of
do,
thing.
I say that you could do that because that's part of the whole plan. Is that ideally you'll be able to have like an extremely inexpensive computer and run games via streaming off of your actual computer somewhere
Yeah.
else. So, yeah,
It's-
Steam machines are super weird. is
Yeah,
what I'm
it's
trying to
still
say.
one of those things because it's tough to make that pitch for your second PC,
Right.
And have it be that even if it's relatively low end, it's still a relatively expensive
Yep.
piece of hardware. What's the cheapest Steam machine we've seen at this point?
$500.
400, or it is 500?
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
you're
the one,
talking
the
about a
iPad Power
$500 second desktop computer. That's a really tough sell.
In fairness, the $500 one is is way more power than you would need to stream. Like
Yeah.
it's an Xbox One essentially. Essentially, it's half the RAM, so not. But you know,
So you've lied to me, is what you're saying,
I'm
and our
lying to your
readers.
face.
Yeah.
yeah. It's a nice PC though. It's a very nice PC. I will say that. It's pretty. It's white. It's got a light bar.
It looks very much like
Looks like a console.
PS4 design.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a game console. That is the
That's-
best thing I can say about all of them. The initiative is super ambitious, though, and that's
Yeah.
like fascinating
Yeah.
to me. So, individual Steam machines, not super exciting.
But
the
overall-
concept of
The
Steam
whole- yeah.
machines, extremely interesting, and probably a huge deal in 2015, but 2014 maybe not.
Right.
So the most exciting thing about CES being over, there's actual news to report.
That's true.
Which we have not had anything basically to talk about except for CES
That's
or
true.
how there is no news for the last 3 weeks.
December just dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always does.
It's kind of wonderful because it means that we can actually like maybe try to live like human beings for a few minutes before
Or
a
get
huge
ready
team
for
business.
CES.
I was
Yes.
about to say,
A lot of it is-
where were you?
yeah, right,
Because it
a
was
lot of
all
it is getting ready for
pre-CS
CES.
planning.
That's always the hard thing, actually, is like trying to work around the holiday stuff
Yeah.
and be like, I want to actually go see my family for a day.
Yeah,
but
the
I
rest of
need
the world is
family
like
emails.
yeah, the rest of the world is all like chilling on
I
vacation,
know.
Right.
taking days off, and
It's super weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to complain about it because obviously we have like a pretty killer job, but like that's a super weird facet.
Yeah.
of
Well, you
reporting
do
on
until this
technology.
podcast is over.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the time to let them know?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So what were you gonna say?
You want to tell us about this robot hive mind thing?
Oh my goodness!
This is terrifying.
I'm so
This is the
excited
beginning of
by
the
it.
end.
I know, and I shouldn't be excited by it, but it's basically okay. So the concept from these researchers, the majority of researchers are coming from universities in Spain, in Germany, and in the Netherlands, and they basically created a cloud. It's specifically for gathering data from different robots that are networked in, and then they share and they disseminate that. So basically, any robot can go from being single task to multi-purpose. So you can have one robot who's roaming around the room, uploading the mapping data of that room, and the other robots in the network can then use that information, come in, and they know how to navigate because they're essentially learning, right? So it's like a learning database in a,
So
in a
this is the
way.
beginning of the Borg.
It is the beginning. It's the hive mind. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, I made that very clear when I wrote it up that this is the hive is beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. And it looks genteel right now. It looks
Does it?
very. I think it looks very benign right now. It's just robots helping
It
you.
already
open,
involves robots learning. It
well,
already involves that.
But they're just helping
It
you open
involves
pill
creating a
We all
single
know what comes
consciousness
next.
for
Right. It's an obvious
robots.
solution.
I don't know
We've
that
seen
there's
this
any
movie
way
a
that
lot of
seems
times.
benign.
But here's the deal, though. This is far down in the future when this thing is like a full scale implementation. But
How far in the
if that-
future?
I would say by 2030, this is something we'll all be living with. I think that's a reasonable.
That
15
gives
years from
us
now.
enough time to build up an arsenal to defend ourselves. Continue.
I'm going to be 15 years weaker, is what you're saying?
Yes.
That's terrible.
But you'll have children that are 15 years stronger than you.
Oh, man, maybe I can
You
have
can
robot
delegate.
kids.
But
This is actually, you might want to start like pumping them out now so that they'll be ready to bear
Right.
arms when the time comes.
yeah, you gotta do
Your
all
own
that
defense
hunting.
force.
Like guns will matter then.
No, but
Come on.
they need to know how to like tip cows and hunting gear just to protect you.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
But here's the thing: if that cloud ever goes offline, right? This is the potential danger to consumers because we get hooked on this in your household. You have all these Rosie the robots running around doing everything for you that are low cost to produce, that don't really have any internal circuitry or high level components so that they can function on their own. That cloud goes down. They're completely useless. Now, the
Okay,
flip
well.
side is that cloud has all the information about everything
Right.
you and everyone you love.
Are they
does.
actually useless if the cloud goes down, though? Are they doing all of their heavy lifting on a server end?
Well,
or is
that's-
it just,
It's not clear. I mean, obviously, this is just a demo that they're showing off at Eindhoven. I think that's how you say it.
It is.
It is.
I was there this summer.
Eindhoven. You at Eindhoven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It's a beautiful place.
Germany
the
is a beautiful
Netherlands.
country.
That's in the Netherlands.
Oh,
my
I'm thinking
friend.
of Eindhoven.
Yeah, it's Eindhoven.
All right, we'll have to discuss this later.
The D's
Yeah,
are like
it's
T's.
very
Eindhoven,
important, but
and the
not
V's are like
now.
F's. Eindhoven. Anyway, it's just a demo with just 4 robots.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're nowhere near pushing this out to something that you could go and have in your household. But I'm sure companies they'll have some offline
Well, I mean,
capabilities there for the robots. But for the most part,
for a practical implementation, it only seems to make sense that there would have to be a really heavy offline component to it,
Right.
and that it would be more of sort of a reference for these robots that might need to learn something new. A Wikipedia for them, as opposed to actually where they're doing all the heavy lifting and the processing.
But do we want it to be a Wikipedia for them? Because then it's easily edited and it can be false information.
Well, I mean, it sounds like it already is like that.
Photography.
Take that entry about not murdering organic beings, and then
Right.
everything is done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's all you have to
I'm
do.
sure that's not in there right now.
No. You have to explicitly tell them not to. I was reading about the singularity the other day. Do you guys know about this stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's incredibly scary. Yeah, I didn't realize how scary that was.
Do you want to
That's all.
illuminate
Yeah, do
our
you wanna-
listeners who have no idea what that is?
The singularity?
Yeah.
Boy, you should really look into it because I didn't know, and now I'm scared out of my mind.
So explain then.
It's essentially, I'm gonna do a really bad job of this.
That's fine.
Okay, so
It's
it's
like
the
everything
idea
else.
that eventually AI will evolve to the point that it takes over, and that's it, right? Like they are able to build themselves and build
Yeah.
better versions of themselves, and that obviates the need for humanity, essentially.
You never saw AI, huh?
The movie AI?
Yeah.
I did. I love that. The teddy bear keeps telling him he's going to break. It's adorable. Just adorable.
It's so good. It took
God.
me years to understand the ending. I saw
really
it so
like
many
that
times,
movie,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh.
The ending
I
is really
actually
easy to
fell asleep.
understand. Steven Spielberg took over a movie that he had no place taking over, and he ruined it.
Yeah.
That's the
Pretty
end of
much.
AI.
He
It's
ruins
perfect.
most movies,
I
except
feel
for
like it's a
Jurassic
good
Park.
thing that I fell asleep with about 30 minutes left in that both
Yeah,
times that I
perfect.
tried to watch it.
Perfect. It's really
I
great
have
if you
no
stop
idea
right
how it
before the
ends,
end.
and I'm just gonna leave it
Anyway,
at
the
that.
teddy bear is worth watching the movie for.
It is
and
also-
Jude Law, right? Jude Law.
He
really good
was
in that, too.
fantastic in
Yeah.
that. Yeah. He learned how to dance so he could move gracefully like Fred Astaire.
He's excellent. Yeah,
Yep.
he's like a digital pimp.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
That's
He's a
right.
digital gigolo.
He's a love robot, which is we're
Right.
not very far from that, huh?
no.
No.
In Japan, they already basically have those services, but that's a different podcast.
That's for your Tokyo Vice podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what-
They-
What happens if we combine an all-powerful robot army with a single consciousness and no net neutrality laws? Are we done?
Well, I mean,
Because then they can run everything. They'll just take over all of the pipes.
but then what if they start turning against each other? Like, well, I don't want you to be able to, access.
Politics destroys the robot future.
I don't want you to access all that energy from the grid and use the super laser to destroy. I don't know.
well, I mean, the
all
idea is
of-
that they're a single consciousness at this
Kentucky.
point, so there shouldn't be too much
You don't
quarreling.
think there'd be infighting?
I'm pretty sure
I feel like
under the
if-
definition of a single
No, no,
consciousness, there
but-
wouldn't be much
well,
infighting.
Well, if you wanted to get all new agey, we are all one. And if you wanted to go in the vein
I'm
of
done
any
with this
religion,
podcast.
we are all one. We're all one like consciousness. I don't know. I think that if artificial intelligence were really to evolve to that certain point where it truly did become intelligent, I think it would start to fracture off, and there would be sort of separate identities, right? Because identity would really be, wow, they've achieved consciousness if they were able to, discern
They
between
break
each
away
other.
from the hive mind.
Right, exactly. And then there'd be like the freedom-fighting robots, and they'd be like, we should help humans but keep them as domesticated pets because it's so cute and squishy.
I'm sure you're not. I think you're just pitching a cartoon.
what's the episode of Next Generation with the Borg with the personality?
Oh, that's
I know,
right. Yeah, that's right. The character was Hugh Borg.
I knew you knew.
I don't remember the episode name. No, I'm not Dan Cooper.
No,
So I don't remember the
but
name
it's
of the
pretty good.
episode or who wrote it. But
If only you could be Dan Cooper.
yeah, sorry.
If only.
But this also, it reminded me of when we went to the Smart Things house at CES. Because that's a living house, right? And everything is connected, but it's not in that same sort of way. But
It is actually
those
the
things
opposite
are
of a living
merging.
house.
Yeah.
It is literally the opposite. That's probably their terminology, right?
No, it's
No,
not.
no, that was
Okay.
something that Joseph just cooked
I
up right now.
I just called it a living
he's
house.
trying to become their PR person.
Stop it.
He's tired of working here.
Yeah,
he
I
wants to
just
go
wanna
join
work
their
at Smart
PR team.
Things. Exactly.
I think that so Smart Things, their home automation stuff is really cool, but that's like, it seems like roboticizing your house instead of like what you're saying.
But
like a
you know what?
living
But
house.
that's going to become a reality. Like when people start building their homes or renovating, they're going to be building these things into the infrastructure of the home. Your lighting system, your electrical system, the garage system,
Well-
the audio visual. It's all going to be
I mean, that's been
easily-
happening for years, but it's been too expensive and proprietary. It's becoming easier. I mean,
Right.
that is one of the things that made sense at CES. Even if it's being applied to things like, a wireless internet connected crock pot. That might not be the best.
I've blocked that thing
But
from my memory.
the concept is right. I mean, instead of it being sort of things that have to be hardwired into your home or your $2,000 smart washing machine,
Right.
It's all wireless, built on open standards
Right.
that anybody can build on. I mean,
Right.
Belkin has their own SDKs and kits
Yeah.
that you can use, so you're creating your own wireless home devices, similar to the Crock-Pot, but with anything else that you want.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a lot more flexible and open.
Yeah, and I see that. I mean, I see that converging with something like the idea of that robot hive mind. You know what I mean? Where everything is being monitored. Everything has a pulse. Everything is being reported. Everything is easily accessible, that information. So, I don't know.
And part of the concern with a lot of that stuff, though, is that you have companies like AT&T trying to get into that market so that they're going to have control over your
they
home
have
automation
a whole
stuff.
segment of their business
Yeah,
for that, sure.
That's where they're sort of pushing, where they see they're going to make their next billion or whatever.
Right.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I honestly am completely uncomfortable with somebody like AT&T having all that information about me.
Yeah. So I think
In
a
the
lot
same
of
way, like
or
I'm pretty
Google.
uncomfortable with Google,
Or
with
any
Nest
company,
and stuff.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know that there was a lot of people joking about that stuff online when Google bought Nest. Was that this week?
yes.
That was
Oh, man.
immediately Monday, right?
Yep.
Okay. For
There's
how many
once
billion?
again
3 point
so
something
much
billion?
news this week. It was actually super exciting.
Yeah.
It was another one of these things. Yes, 3.2 billion, I believe.
Okay. So Nest makes pretty cool, smart. What the heck am I looking? What's the
Thermostats
There we go.
and smoke
and
detectors.
smoke
smoke
detectors. Less so the smoke detector, but definitely the thermostat, because that's monitoring like when you arrive home, your average time spent there, like all this other rich information about like your life that I really don't feel comfy sharing with anybody, not Google, anybody. And that's super weird. That is hell, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's scary as hell. Like I don't know. I saw a lot of people joking though about like Nest or Google or whatever taking your information. It's like that's a funny joke. They will totally have that information. That is really scary.
But then you look what people share on social networks. What the information that can be gleaned about what you put on your Facebook profile would surprise you.
But I chose to share that.
Right, I know. But at a certain point, you're learning from these NSA leaks, right? That you don't have to choose to share, because even the things that you're not sharing say so much, and what they're culling all that data from says so much about you and about like people that are like removed from you by 7 times. You know what I mean? That's how they're using this big, oh my God, I'm going to say it, big data to figure things out. So it's like,
Where's my bottle of whiskey?
I know. I feel like we just need to
The
lay
Internet of
down.
Things and big data.
Just
I know.
lay down
And
and let it
wearables.
happen. And where we didn't say wearables.
We've hit like the trifecta.
Oh, and I said living home.
You did.
But that's not a buzzy thing.
No, that's one of the first times I've heard that
Yeah,
one.
because I made it up.
I would still probably be drunk by the end of this
Living.
podcast, though. It's probably a good thing I don't have that bottle.
Good. Good. Actually, no, it'd be kind of fun if you were drunk.
Would it?
Yeah.
Yes and no. Let's go with yes and no.
I'd probably get more progressively more belligerent.
Well, I mean, depends on who you want to take that out on. Ben.
Probably you're closest.
Ben.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's totally a weird thing to me, though. Like the idea of Nest having all that information, therefore Google having all that information. I think you're right about.
But they
sharing
already
a lot
have
of
all that
stuff.
information from Google services and apps, and I feel like every time these new things come up, we put up such a fight, right? Oh, they're gonna learn so much about me, and it's like they already know. They already.
I think if
know.
the benefit is there, right? Like I have conceded a lot of my personal information for the benefits of the internet, and that's fine to me because I have made that trade-off, and I chose that. Whereas with
you
that
don't want a
kind of
secure
stuff,
house.
No, I mean, and with Nest, I don't think anything will be by default in terms of sharing personally identifiable information. That you'll be able to opt in, or it won't be any personally identifiable information. It'll all be aggregate.
And I mean, I think, despite your protestations, a lot of people do trust Google with their information and probably aren't terribly concerned if Google's going to have access to their
it's not even like I'm doing something
thermostat.
nefarious, right? Like if NSA has my information about when I'm not home, fine, because I'm not like a drug trafficker, so it doesn't matter. But it's just frustrating that is all completely out of my hands, and I'd rather not volunteer up extra.
But you're not necessarily super suspicious of Google per se.
No, I'm not suspicious.
I don't know that you
I
can,
am knowledgeable about them.
I don't know that you can
giving
say
the
the
NSA
same
things.
about somebody like AT&T. I think people are actively suspicious of them.
I kind of am actively suspicious of any of these companies, honestly.
But I
Google,
mean,
AT&T, Microsoft, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Across the board.
They have to trade in the social graph, right? That's essentially their bread and butter. That's what they're selling, right? They're gathering that data on you. They're compiling it. They're selling it to other marketers. Like that's what's making them the billions of dollars. So it's in their interest not to get caught red-handed doing sneaky things with that. And when they do, those companies will collapse. So there is sort of like a mechanism there.
Yeah, but I mean the other issue is how well and securely they keep the data.
And enforce it.
I mean, you don't want another target where instead of credit card data, it's
the Syrian electronic army goes against, right?
Yeah.
Ben Gilbert's house.
They're gonna get my 3-legged dog.
They're gonna send you
No,
some.
I'll do that. That's what I'll do. That'll be my reaction. So you wanted to explain this net neutrality thing because I have no idea what the situation is. People are freaking out.
Yeah.
People are freaking out.
Actually, just about out of time, though.
Oh, no!
So we can save this till next week, or we can do it real quick.
Really quick.
You want to do this really quick?
Two sentences.
Two sentences. So, despite what people are saying, net neutrality is not dead, but it was dealt a pretty significant setback in the courts. But there will be appeals. Some key...
two butts in
you know what? Shut up. This is a very complex thing that is very tough to wrap up in two sentences.
And all the FCC has to do is just recategorize how they
yes, well,
perceive
that's
cable operators. And
that's a really big thing, and that kind of gets into the darker part of it. If they did recategorize what the telco, as a telecommunications property, these things, it would be much easier to regulate them. This would not be a violation of their, current operating rules, and therefore that would negate the court's decision to strike down some of the elements of the laws that they passed.
Yep.
The most contentious thing right now is basically that, a service provider, internet service providers can basically say, oh, hey, like Verizon Fios, we have our own video service and we don't want you accessing Netflix. But Netflix, if you want all this high bandwidth traffic to go to your consumers, reliably, we're going to charge you a lot of money. And that's been struck down.
And
the preventions against that have been struck down.
Yeah, and part of the biggest problem in a lot of the outcry over this was the argument from the courts was that there are these competitors like Google Fiber,
which
that
is
are
not a competitor right now.
Well, and that's part of the problem is there's companies like Google Fiber out there keeping the market honest. It's like, well, not really. That particular example exists in what, 4 cities
Kansas
at this
City
point?
and Austin.
Are there still only 2? I thought we were at 3 or 4 now.
I know. I mean, the only ones I can remember were Kansas City and Austin. And
Yeah.
Austin has at least.
Isn't there one in Utah too?
Trying,
now?
Provo.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we got at least 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, throughout most of the country, it's still a duopoly or a monopoly in most markets.
It's a straight monopoly in Brooklyn, where I live.
pretty much
It's
have Time
only
Warner,
recently
and that's
become
it.
a duopoly in Staten Island. Like, the debut of Fios marked the day that you finally had a choice between, other than dial-up.
Yeah. That still exists.
That's the other option, right? It's dial-up or cable.
It was either
and only
Time Warner cable
or LTE,
or nothing.
Right.
But-
And what's really worse is in urban areas with multi-dwelling units, like those buildings have
you have no
one
choice.
wiring, right?
Yeah.
And you're logged in. You're locked into
Whatever
that.
the landlord or the developer has
Chose.
decided, that's what you're stuck with.
Yeah.
You don't get a choice. So I mean, there's a lot of concerns, but I don't think it's time to despair just yet. I think still.
No, we have no.
Honestly, I don't see there's any way that the net neutrality doesn't get enshrined in some capacity. And
content, listen, those content services, those streaming providers, they will lobby.
hard.
They will lobby.
They have a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I
I
mean, beyond Netflix, like Hulu is
yeah.
owned by 5 major media
Sure.
corporations.
Well,
Yeah,
they're all
and
trying to-
Amazon.
they're all trying to shuck
there are
it,
a
but
lot
yeah,
of
still.
companies.
And you've got Google, who is also fighting for it,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure there's no tech company on earth with more lobbyists than them.
Right.
So I'm feeling pretty comfortable about that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Does Apple also have a? They have a
They have a
fight in
pretty
this too,
significant,
right?
yeah.
I think
okay.
any major tech
I
company
think
or
I make that point
entertainment
because I think
company
if
has-
you get like Apple, Google, and Amazon to all sit down and talk to the government, that is the end of this conversation. Essentially, like they have enough. They've worked with those folks enough times, and they have enough sway between lobbyists and money.
Yeah.
just
And if they
straight up
all
economic
on the
impact.
same
like-
side,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Okay. Then I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Good.
So let's end this on a happy note.
Great.
On a positive note. Woo!
Okay.
Are we all one?
We
No.
are all one.
We are all one.
Yeah.
In my religion.
Okay, thanks. This has been the Engadget Podcast for the week of January 16th, and we will be back next week. Thank you.
Don't tip cows.
wants to sit, unless you want to stand because it's good for your health. Please come forward and take one of the chairs in the front, or keep your hands up for a minute if you have a chair anywhere near you that somebody can occupy. This is the first time we are using the 4th floor so that more people could be sitting. And this is our first all hands of 2014. There are some empty chairs. If you have an empty chair next to you, first of all, there are 10 right here. If you want to come up front, we're waiting for you right here. And also, anybody who has an empty chair next to you, would you raise your hand and somebody can go and grab it? Yeah, chairs over there. So anybody standing who wants to sit, unless you want to stand because it's good for your health, please come forward and take one of the chairs in the front, or keep your hands up for a minute if you have a chair anywhere near you that somebody can occupy. This is the first time we are using the 4th floor so that more people could be sitting. And this is our first all hands of 2014. And I want to start by asking everybody for whom this is your first all hands ever to stand up and introduce yourselves very loudly so everybody can hear you. So come on, let's start from here. Here. Yeah, okay, oh, let's be quiet so we can hear. Okay, I can be like Phil Donner here. And
Hi, Carolina. I'm in business operations.
Hi, I'm Ethan. I'm working on the mobile team.
Maggie, tech manager for stats and machine learning.
I'm Mark. I work in the photography department.
Hey, I'm Jenna. I work for Crime and Weird News. Back. Over here.
Hi, I'm Antonia. I'm a fellow.
Hi, I'm Colin Sullivan. I'm in business development.
Hi, I'm Alexa Sachs. I'm on the business team.
Hi, I'm Amanda Gutterman. I'm Lance's new fellow / sidekick in special projects.
Hi, I'm Armand, and I work with the sports team.
Hi, I'm Taylor, and I'm the video games fellow.
Hi, I'm David, and I am the data scientist with the product team.
I'm Sarah.
Hey, I'm Matt, and I do the social media for HuffPost Live. Woo!
Okay, a little more quiet so we can hear you all.
Hi, I'm Farah. I'm working on the world team.
I'm Hillary. I'm a fellow on Celebrity.
And I'm April. I'm a fellow with entertainment.
I'm Hillary. I'm on the data team.
I'm Anna. I'm on the A team.
I'm Matt Rappaport, and I'm doing Google Plus. Woo!
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I work for HuffPost Code.
Hi, I'm Megan. I work for Style. Hi, I'm Christine. I work for Comedy.
Hi, I'm Howard. I work for HuffPost Live.
Hi, I'm Ananta. I'm also on HuffPost Live as an engineering intern.
Hi, I'm Charlotte. I'm on the World News team.
Hi, I'm Katie Osborne. I'm on the brand and content team.
Okay. And here now?
Hi, I'm Brianna, and I'm with Green.
Is it your first name? Tell me when it's my time.
Hey, I'm Maria, and I'm a video editorial fellow at HuffPost Live.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm a Style fellow.
I'm Chanel, and I'm also a Style fellow.
I'm James. I'm an entertainment editor.
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm a TV fellow.
Hi, I'm Karina. I'm working for Impact.
Hi.
Drops mic.
My turn. I'm Greg, and I'm the automotive fellow, though I look like the style fellow.
I'm Haley. I'm a blog fellow.
I'm Gabby. I'm also a blog fellow. I'm Julie. I'm a blog fellow, too.
Yes?
I'm Isaac. I'm a fellow on digital innovation.
Here's what?
Isaac, and I'm a fellow on digital innovation.
I'm Sarah on digital innovation.
I am Kate, and I am shockingly also on digital innovation.
I'm Will Goodman. I'm with digital innovation as well.
I'm Jimmy. I'm working on a tech team.
I'm Alex. I'm a fellow on Good News.
So be honest, how many of you knew that we had a digital innovation team? Not enough. How many of you know that we don't have a print innovation team? But one of the reasons for having all the new fellows and new members of HuffPost staff introduce themselves is because we want you all to get to know each other more. And part of what we want to do going forward is get up more and go to each other's desk if you want to say something instead of always using G-chatting, which is also fabulous for your health. I don't know if Lori Libovich is here, but Lori, would you like to come up and say something? Lori is working on a whole plan to deal with the email and how we can cut down a little bit on email and G-chatting and simply get up and talk to someone real live.
Is Danny here? I'm going to get Danny up here too. Danny, come on. This is you.
Are you on this side?
Yes. So this grew out of, it's a very third metric approach that we want to take to email here at the company. Danny and I have been talking about this for a long time. Ariana has very wholeheartedly endorsed it. But Danny and I have come up with, we started a list of some best practices that we should all use in-house for email. And we've come up with the beginning of the list. And what we want to do is try to cut down on distraction, cut down on wasted time, and also to foster, as Ariana said, more interaction among our colleagues.